the reality, how evolution hid the truth from our eyes, by Donald Hoffman. I think that tastes, odors, colors, and so on reside in consciousness. Hence, if the living creatures were removed, all these qualities would be wiped away and annihilated. Galileo Galilei. Let's start with the chapter 1, called Mystery, the scalpel that split consciousness. Your eyes will save your life today. With the guidance, you will not tumble downstairs, leap before a speeding Maserati, grab the tail of a rattlesnake, or munch on a moldy apple. Why are your eyes and all of our senses reliable guides? Most of us have a hunch. They tell us the truth. The real world, we assume, consists of cars and stairs and other objects in space and time. They exist even if no living creature observes them. Our senses are simply a window of this objective reality. Our senses do not, we assume, show us the world, the whole truth of objective reality. Some objects are too small or too far away. On rare occasions, our senses are even wrong. Artists, psychologists, cinematographers, and others can cook up illusions that fool them. But normally, our senses report the truth we need to navigate safely through life. Why do our senses exist? To reveal the truth. Again, we have a hunch. Evolution. Those of our ancestors who saw reality more accurately had an advantage over those who saw it less accurately, especially in critical activities such as feeding, fighting, bleeding, and mating. As a result, they were more likely to pass on their genes, which coded for more accurate perceptions. We are the offsprings of those who, in each generation, saw objective reality more accurately. Therefore, we can be confident that we see it accurately. Our hunch, in short, is that truer perceptions are fitter perceptions. Evolution weeds out untrue perception. That is why our perceptions are windows of objective reality. These hunches are wrong. On this contrary, our perceptions of snakes and apples, and even of space and time, do not reveal objective reality. The problem is not that our perceptions are wrong about this or that detail. It's that the very language of objects in space and time is simply the wrong language to describe objective reality. This is not a hunch. It is a theorem of evolution by natural selection that wallops our hunches. The idea that our perceptions mislead us about objective reality in whole or in part has a long history. Democritus, around 400 before Christ, famously claimed that our perceptions of hot, cold, sweet, bitter, and color are conventions, not reality. A few decades later, ever since have debated the relation between perception and reality. The theory of evolution injects new rigor into this debate. How can our senses be useful? How can they keep us alive if they don't tell us the truth about objective reality? A metaphor can help our intuitions. Suppose you're writing an email and the icon for its file is blue, rectangular, and in the center of your desktop. Does this mean that the file itself is blue, rectangular, and in the center of your computer? Of course not. The color of the icon is not the color of the file. Files have no color. The shape and position of the icon are not the true shape and position of the file. In fact, the language of shape, position, and color cannot describe computer files. The purpose of a desktop interface is not to show you the truth of the computer, where truth in this metaphor refers to circuits, voltages, and layers of software. Rather, the purpose of an interface is to hide the truth and to show simple graphics that help you perform useful tasks such as crafting emails and editing photos. If you had to toggle voltages to craft an email, your friends would never hear from you. That is what evolution has done. It has endowed us with senses that hide the truth and display the simple icons we need to survive long enough to raise offsprings. Space, as you perceive it when you look around, it is just your desktop, a 3D desktop. Apples, snakes, and other physics objects are simply icons in your 3D desktop. These icons are useful in part because they hide the complex truth about objective reality. Your senses have evolved to give you what you need. You may want the truth, but you don't need the truth. Perceiving truth would drive your species extinct. You need simple icons that show you how to act to stay alive. Perception is not a window on objective reality. It is an interface that hides objective reality behind a veil of helpful icons. But you ask, if that speeding Maserati is just an icon of your interface, why don't you leap in front of it? After you die, then we'll have proof that a car is not just an icon, it's real, and it really can kill you. I wouldn't leap in front of a speeding car for the same reason I wouldn't carelessly drag my blue icon to the trash can. Not because I take the icon literally, the file is not blue, but I do take it seriously. If I drag the icon to the trash can, I could lose my work. And that is the point. Evolution has shaped our senses to keep us alive. We have to take them seriously. If you see a speeding Maserati, don't leap in front of it. If you see a moldy apple, don't eat it. But if it is a mistake of logic to assume that if we must take our senses seriously, then we are required or even entitled to take them literally. I take my perceptions seriously, but not literally. This book is about why you should do the same and why that matters. I explain why evolution hid objective reality and endowed us instead with an interface of objects in space and time. Together we will explore how this counterintuitive idea dovetails with discoveries in physics that are equally counterintuitive. And we will examine how our interface works and how we can manipulate it with makeup, marketing, and design. In chapter 1, we greatest unsolved mystery in science. Your experience of the taste of dark chocolate, the smell of crushed garlic, the blare of a trumpet, the sensual feel of plush velvet, the sign of a red apple. Neuroscientists have found many correlations between such conscious experiences and brain activity. They have discovered that our consciousness can be split in half with scalpel, and the two halves can have different personalities with different likes, dislikes, and religious beliefs. One half can be an atheist while the other believes in God. But despite all this data, we still have no plausible story about how brain activity might generate a conscious experience. This stunning failure suggests that we have made a false assumption. Hunting for a culprit led me to look more closely at how our senses are shaped by natural selection. A clear example of this shaping is our sense of beauty. We explore in Chapter 2 beauty and attraction through the lens of evolution. When you glance at another person, you immediately and unconsciously pick up dozens of sensory clues and run them through a sophisticated algorithm forget by evolution that decides one thing: reproductive potential, the likelihood that this person could successfully raise offsprings. Your algorithm, in a fraction of a second, summarizes its complex analysis with a simple feeling, ranking from hot to not. Through the course of the chapter, we examine specific clues of beauty in the human eye. Men are attracted to women with larger eyes that have larger irises, larger pupils, slightly bluish scleras, that is the white of the eyes, and distinctive limbal rings, the dark border between the iris and the sclera. That is very interesting. What women want is more complex, and it's a fascinating story that we will examine more closely. As we survey our sense of beauty, we absorb key concepts of evolution, learn useful tricks to speed up portraits, and explore the logic of natural selection, including the logic that tempts us to deceive others by speeding up. Many experts in evolution and neuroscience claim that our senses evolved to report truths about objective reality, not the full spectrum of truth, just what we need to raise kids. We listen to these experts in Chapter 3. We hear from Francis Crick, who discovered, along with James Watson, the structure of DNA. In a series of letters that Crick and I exchanged a decade before this death, he argues that our perception matched reality and that the sun existed before anyone saw it. We hear from David Marr, a professor at MIT who combined insights from neuroscience and artificial intelligence to transform the study of human vision. In this classic book, Vision, Marr contends that we evolved to see a true description of objective reality. Marr was my doctoral advisor until his death at age 45. He influenced my early ideas and those of the entire field on this topic. We hear from maintains that our senses evolved to give us an accurate view of reality. Philosophers can long wondered, can we trust our senses to tell us truth about reality? Many brilliant scientists answered yes. We look in chapter 4 at this case for no. We encounter a startling fitness bit truth theorem, FBT theorem, which states that evolution by natural selection does not favor true perceptions. It routinely drives them to extinction. Instead, natural selection favors perceptions that hide the truth and guides useful actions. Without equations or Greek symbols, we explore the new field of evolutionary game theory, which allows Darwin's ideas to be transformed into precise mathematics that lead to this shocking theorem. We look at computer simulations of evolutionary games which confirm the predictions of the FBT theorem. We find further confirmations from simulations of genetic algorithms in which perceptions and actions co-evolve. The FBT theorem tells us that the language of our perceptions, including space, time, shape, hue, saturation, brightness, texture, taste, sound, smell, and motion, cannot describe reality as it is when no one looks. It's not simply that this or that perception is wrong, it's that none of our perceptions being couched in this language could possibly be right. At this point, our intuitions falter. How could our senses be useful if they don't report the truth? In chapter 5, we aid our intuitions by exploring an interface metaphor. Space, time, and physical objects are not objective reality. They are simply the virtual world delivered by our senses to help us play the game of life. Well, you might say, if you claim that space, time, and objects are not objective reality, then you are straying into the turf of physics, and physicists will be happy to set you straight. In chapter 6, we discover that eminent physicists admit that space, time, and objects are not fundamental. They're rubbing their chins red, trying to define what might replace them. Some say that space-time, a union of space and time required by Einstein's theories. By Einstein's theories of relativity, it's doomed. They say that it is a hologram that made out of bits of information. Others say that reality differs from one observer to another, or that the history of the universe is not fixed, but depends on what is observed now. Physics and evolution point to the same conclusion. Space-time and objects are not foundational. Something else is more fundamental. Something else is more fundamental. And space-time emerges from it. If space-time is not a foundational, pre-existing stage on which the drama of the universe unfolds, then what is it? In chapter 7, we wade into the curious and curiouser. Space-time is just a data format, much like data structures in our mobile devices, that serves to keep us alive. Our senses report fitness, and an error in this report could ruin your life. So our senses use error-correcting codes to detect and correct errors. Space-time is just the format our senses use to report fitness payoffs and to correct errors in these reports. To see how this works, we play with some visual illusions and catch ourselves in the act of correcting errors. Then we use these insights to have fun with clothing. We can manipulate the visual codes to help men and women look even better in their jeans by making careful alteration to stitches, pockets, finishes and embroideries. Then we look at color, from the refreshing blue of clear skies to the vibrant green of spring grasses, our rich world of light and color. It's a welcome gift. Compliments of 4 kids of photoreceptors in the eye. But Arabiposis thaliana, a small weed that looks like wild mustard, has 11 kinds of photoreceptors. The lowly cyanobacterium, which has colonized Earth for at least 2 billion years, boasts 27. In chapter 8, we discover that color is a code for messages about fitness used by many species, a code that excels at compressing data much as you might compress a photo before texting it to a friend. Color can trigger emotions and memories that embrace our fitness by guiding our actions. Corporations harness the power of color as a tool for branding and will go to great lengths to defeat the color as intellectual property. But as potent and evocative as color may be, chromatures, which are textured colors, prove far more versatile and powerful than colors alone, and for good evolutionary reasons. Chromatures can be designed to trigger specific emotions and associations. If you understand our codes for fitness, then you can intelligently hack them for your benefit. But evolution is not done with our sensory codes for fitness. It still experiments with novel interfaces for our enterprising species. 4% of us are synesthetes, who perceive a world that differs from the norm. We meet Michael Watson, who felt with his hands what he tastes with his mouth. When he tastes spearmint, he felt tall, cold columns of grass. Angostura bites felt like a scraggly basket of hanging ivy. Each taste had its own 3D object, which he created in the moment of taste and destroyed when he stopped tasting. Some synesthetes see a unique color for each number, letter, day of the week, or month of the year, and excel at discerning colors. Perception may seem effortless, but in fact it requires considerably energy. Each precious calorie you burn on perception is a calorie you must find and take from its owner, perhaps a potato or an irate wild beast. Calories can be difficult and dangerous to procure, so evolution has shaped our senses to be misers. One consequence we discover in chapter 9 is that vision cuts corners. You see sharp detail only with a small circular window, those radius in the width of your thumb held at arm's length. If you close your eyes and hold out your thumb, you can see just how tiny it is. We think we see the whole field of vision in great detail, but we've been dubbed. Each place we look falls into that small window of sharp detail, so we mistakenly assume that we see everything in detail. accident promote arrival if it flouts the rules? If our senses hide reality behind an interface, then what is that reality? I don't know, but in chapter 10 we explore the idea that conscious experiences are fundamental. When you look at yourself in a mirror, you see skin, hair, eye, lips, and the expression of your face, but you know that hidden behind your face it's a far richer world. Your dreams, fears, politics, love of music, tastes in literature, love of family, and experiences of colors, smells, sounds, tastes, and touches. The face you see is just an interface. Behind it is the vibrant world of your experiences, choices, and actions. Perhaps the universe itself is a massive social network of conscious agents that experience, decide, and act. If so, consciousness does not arise from matter. This is a big claim that we will explore in detail. Instead, matter and space-time arise from consciousness as a perceptual interface. This book offers you the red pill if you can accept that the technology of virtual reality will one day create for you a compelling experience that is nothing like your experience when you take off the headset. Then why be so certain that when you remove the headset you're seeing reality as it is? The purpose of this book is to help you take off the next headset, the one you didn't know you were wearing all along. The scalp that split consciousness. How it is that anything so remarkable as a state of consciousness comes about as a result of irritating nervous tissues is just as unaccountable as the appearance of the jinn when Aladdin rubbed his lamp. Quote, emotion became a feeling, no phrase that our lips can frame. It's so devoid of apprehensible meaning. In February of 1962, Joseph Bogan and Philip Vogel sliced in half the brain of Bill Jenkins. Intentionally, methodically, and with careful premeditation. Jenkins then, in his late 40s, recovered and went on to enjoy a quality of life that had eluded him for years. In the decade that followed, Bogan and Vogel split brain after brain in California, earning them the epithet the West Coast Badgers. Each brain that they split belonged to a person who suffered from severe and intractable epilepsy, a condition caused by abnormal neural activity racking through the brain. The best drugs available at that time failed this epileptic, leaving them vulnerable to a seizure, a convulsion, or a drop attack. A sudden loss of muscle tone that often caused a damaging fall. Normal life evaded them. They couldn't drive, work, or enjoy a careful night at a ball game. Daily existence devolved into drudgery, punctuated by episodes of horror. daring attempt to quarantine the anomalous neural activity that ravaged their lives. The surgery was dedicated and intricate, but its idea was simple. The human brain harbors 86 billion neurons that converse in an electrochemical dialect, a vast social network, each member following and being followed, as if they were tweeting and retweeting, each in its own unique style. Each neuron tweets via its axon and follows via its dendrites. This network, despite its complexity, is normally stable, allowing an orderly flow of messages. But just as a collision of cars can disrupt in widening ripples the flow of traffic in a city, so also a sudden surfeit of aberrant signals in the brain can disrupt the flow of electrochemical messages through the brain, triggering seizures, convulsions, and loss of consciousness. Bogle and Vogel sought to halt disastrous ripples before they swamped the brain. Fortunately, the anatomy of the brain itself suggests an opportune place and method. The brain is divided into two hemispheres, left and right. Each hemisphere has 43 billion neurons. Their axons subdivide like branches of a tree to allow trillions of links among them. But in contrast to the rich interconnection within a hemisphere, the bond between hemispheres is a tiny cable, the corpus callosum, with just over 200 million axons, roughly one axon between hemispheres for every 200 within a hemisphere. This bottleneck offers an ideal place to cut and thereby to have the spread of debilitating ripples from one hemisphere to the other. This scheme is admittedly crude, much like trying to stop the spread of a computer virus from Europe to the America by cutting all cables across the Atlantic. But the triage was necessary. Bogen and Vogel chose to let one hemisphere endure the fury of epilepsy in hopes that the other hemisphere, and thus the patient, might suffer less. The surgery known technically as a corpus callosotomy, and informally as a split brain operation, was a clinical success. Bill Jenkins suffered no more drop attacks and just 2 general convulsions in the next 10 years. Other patients enjoyed similar relief. One attended a ball game in person for the first time in years, and another landed a full-time job for the first time in his life. Callosotomy was soon regarded as not as a West Coast butchery, but a possible new treatment modality. When I first met Bogen in 1995, our topic of discussions was not the dramatic success of his surgery, but the exotic changes in consciousness that it triggers. Joe had been invited to speak at a meeting of the Helmholtz Club, a small group of neuroscientists, cognitive scientists, and philosophers that for many years met monthly at UC Irvine. The purpose of the club was to explore how advanced in neuroscience might spawn a scientific theory of consciousness. We met in Irvine because its central location was convenient for members as far for as Caltech, USC, and UCLA, and as far south as UC San Diego and the Salk Institute. We met in secret to avoid interlopers attacked by the fame of one club member, Francis Crick, who had focused his powerful intellect on the mystery mystery of consciousness. We started our meeting with a buffet lunch at the university club, then spent the afternoon in a private room grilling two invited speakers until 6 o'clock. We then retired to a restaurant usually near South Coast Plaza and continued deliberating late into the night. The mystery of consciousness, which was the focus of the Helmholtz Club and the subject of Bogan's talk, is quite simply the mystery of who we are. Your body, like other objects, has physical attributes such as position, mass, and velocity. If, heaven forbid, a rock and your body fell simultaneously from the Leaning Tower of Pisa, both would strike the ground at the same time. On the other hand, we differ from rocks in two key respects. First, we experience sensations. We taste chocolate, suffer headaches, smell garlic, hear trumpets, see tomatoes, feel dizzy, and enjoy orgasms. If rocks have orgasms, they're not letting on. Second, we have positional attitudes, such as the belief that rocks don't have headaches, the fear that stocks might fall, the wish to vacation in Tahiti, and the wonder why Chris won't call. Such attitude allows us to predict and interpret our behavior and that of others. If you wish to vacation in Tahiti and believe that you'll need an airline ticket to do so, then there's good chance you'll buy that ticket. Your propositional attitudes predict and explain your behavior. If Chris calls and says he'll arrive on the train tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, then your attributes of propositional attitudes to Chris that he wants and intends to take the train allows you to predict where he will be tomorrow at 9, indeed with greater facility than if you knew the state of each particle of its body. Like a rock, we have bona fide physical properties, but unlike a rock, we have conscious experiences and propositional attitudes. Are these also physical? If so, it's not obvious. What's the mass of dizziness, the velocity of a headache, or the position of the wonder why Chris won't call? In each case, the question itself seems to harbor confusion and to mismatch categories. Dizziness is not the kind of thing that can be weighted on a scale. A wonder has no spatial coordinates. A headache can be clocked with a radar gun. But conscious experiences and propositional attitudes are essential to human nature. Delete them and we lose our very selves. The bodies that remained would lumber through life pointlessly. So what kind of creature are you? How is your body related to your conscious experiences and proposition attitude? How is your experience of a chai latte related to activities in your brain? Are you just a biochemical machine? If so, how does your brain give rise to your conscious experiences? The question is deeply personal and, as it happens, deeply mysterious. German mathematician and philosopher Gottfried Leibniz grasped the mystery in 1714. Quote, "It must be confessed, however, that perception and that which depends upon it are inexplicable by mechanical causes, that is to say, by figures and motions. Supposing machine whose structure produced thoughts, sensations, and perceptions, we could conceive of it as increased in size with the same propositions until one was able to enter into its interior, as he would into a meal. Now, on going into, if he would find only pieces working upon one another, but never would find anything to explain perception. Leibniz invented a variety of machines, including clocks, lamps, pumps, propellers, submarines, and hydraulic presses. He built a mechanical calculator, the stepper reckoner, which could add, subtract, multiply, and divide numbers with results up to 16 digits. He believed that human reasoning could in principles be modeled by computational machines, but he saw no way for a machine to generate perceptual experiences. The English biologist Thomas Huxley was flummoxed by this mystery in 1869. How it is that anything so remarkable as a state of consciousness comes about as a result of irritating nervous tissues is just as unaccountable as the appearance of the jinn when Aladdin rubbed his lamp. Huxley was expert at anatomy and neuroanatomy. He compared the brains of humans and other primates, showing that the similarity of their structures supported Darwin's theory of human evolution, but he found nothing in the brain that could explain how it might generate conscious experiences. The American psychologist William James grappled with the mystery of consciousness in 1890, exclaiming that emotion became a feeling. No phrase that our lips can frame is so devoid of apprehensible meaning. He agreed with the Irish physicist John Tyndall that the passenger from the physics of the brain to the corresponding facts of consciousness is unthinkable. Freud was confounded by the mystery. We know two things concerning what we call our psyche or mental life. Firstly, its bodily organ, and secondly, our acts of consciousness. So far as we are aware, there is no direct relation between them. James and Freud offered deep insights into human psychology and understood that psychology and neurobiology are correlated, but they had no theory of how brain activity might cause conscious experiences, no idea how to dispel the mystery. Consciousness is still one of the great mysteries of science. A special 2005 issue of the journal Science ranked the top 125 open questions in science. The first place winner was, what is the universe made of? A well-deserved win, given that today 96% of the matter and energy in the universe is dark, meaning we're in the dark about it. The runner-up was, what is the biological basis of consciousness? This is the question that the Helmholtz Club pursued. It is the mystery that researchers around the world still struggle to solve.